It's kind of three different pieces here. All right, so God will make each one. Last I understood is that Pastor should be back this week, and so he should be on his way back. So pray for safe travels for him and that journey. Okay. Today, guys, Matthew chapter 13 is where we're going to be at. And we've been talking about just really the love that God has had for us, guys, and our love for Him, for each other, and for this world. Okay? And with that, there was labor that took place. There was labor from God, His laboring towards us. And in that, there's also labor, though, for us to do. And so we've been talking about that. All right? So, as we're about to get ready to jump in, let's see here. Matthew chapter 13. I didn't get the verses yet.
Okay.
All right. Anthony, if you would open us up with a quick word of prayer.
Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight and everything for the opportunity to give us the word. Thank you for everything. Protect our hearts tonight. Let us go out there and just go throughout. In Jesus' mighty name, we live in my mother.
And you guys don't have to sit back on that just because I'm already starting. All right. Hurry, everybody. Coming up closer. That way, if there are those that come in really, really late, that's not a distraction. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Yeah? I heard about you guys having to take a little bit of a walk. I about went Paul once he told me about it. He's like, I just wasn't thinking about it. I feel so bad now, but I'm like thinking about it. He's like, I was just all focused, which I know how that is. I get all focused on things, and even tonight hurts some of those feelings. And I'm just focused, just trying to just take care of things and do the best that you can, in the moment. And sometimes just don't consider really what's going on around you, which is kind of fun. Okay. Anyways, I love you all. Good evening, and let's get rolling. Matthew chapter 13 is where we are at, where we will be at tonight. Last few weeks, back up. First week, guys, really just want to talk about the love that God has had for us, all right, and the labor that He went through in saving us, and how that translates then to our desire and our love towards Him for others. That we want others to also make it to heaven along with us, because God did everything that it took to save us. Yes? And guys, the reality is that there are many that are just lost. And good people that are just lost, bad people that are lost. You have old people that are lost and young people who are lost, and everybody in between. Yesterday I said pretty and ugly and black and white and polka dotted and everything else. And everybody's guys born lost and need Savior. And God's provided a grand Savior through Jesus Christ. So when we start off into this, find my labor of love notes. Now we've been delivered for a purpose, and that was, let's see here, it was Mark chapter 4, verses 26, I believe it was, through 29. And the mystery that does take place. And that to us, it's a grand mystery, but to God, it's not. And what we're just to do, guys, is just to sow. We're just to bring the message of God. And I think sometimes we become, we become afraid. We run through all these different emotions that keep us from spreading that word. And for us, I love just how it was put there. It said that, the kingdom of heaven is as if a man had just walked out and just scattered seed. He goes back in, he lays down, he goes to sleep. And the next day he comes out and it's sprouted. And from there, it flowers, it heads, and then there is a ripe with that there like a wheat head. Then there's much grain that's ready for harvest. And immediately, as soon as it's ready for harvest, then the sickle comes out and it's cut. And the reality, and it's kind of amazing, guys, even through biology classes and things like that, we know so much. We've been able, through science, been able to dissect things and figure out so much about things. But why does it all actually work? Why does it work that from one seed, and from that seed having to be planted underground, would it sprout a root and then grow above the ground? How would that one seed then grow into a plant that can produce thousands of its own seed? You know, guys, and it is amazing because with all the technology, with all the different things, you know, guys, and again, we can even take out genes from plants and add to the structure of the cells of a plant, and yet do not know why it actually works completely in the way that it does. Yeah? Because that's really the gospel.
We can alter life, and we can't create it.
No, yeah, we can alter it, we can't create it. And guys, you know, some scientists would be arguing probably that or whatever else, but the reality is that even whatever we ever are able to do with our own hands is because God gave us the ability to. Yeah? And I mean, so it's like, you know, like with this pew, great and wonderful invention there. But, you know, and all the things that it took to make that pew, but and you can say, okay, man made that pew, well, every single material that's there is God's. And he's the one who gave us the ability to master it to that point to be able to do that. And so same thing with like the plants or whatever else, guys, with the gospel, it's not so much about mastering you guys, what it's about is giving to some. And the fact of the matter is, guys, is that if you just ever go out and you just sow wildly, so right now I just did that in my backyard. I went out there and I actually did it a year ago. And I went out there and I took seed and I just sowed it all over. I had these two little plots on each side of my property. And I was trying to grow vegetables, and that did not turn out very well at all. The white flies and many, many other bugs came and devoured everything that was there. So I just said, you know what I'm going to do is instead of fighting nature, I'm going to go with nature. And one thing that's amazing is we have wonderful migrations of birds and butterflies. And as silly as that might sound, the monarch butterfly makes a longer migration than any other thing on the face of the planet. 3 generations, they go one direction, and in 1 generation, they fly all the way back. And how they're able to do that over 4 generations and know what to do and where to go and all those different kinds of things, it's just God just gave that to them, yeah? Well, guys, you know, for me, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to sow, and whatever comes up is what comes up. So I did that, and we had one side where there was like 4 or 5 plants that came up and bushed, and they looked really, really nice, and everything else just looked nasty all year. This year I went back out there and I did it again. And then all of a sudden, seed that from last year started growing, as well as some seed from this year, but there's a lot of it, trust me, for the amount that we sowed. There ain't that much that came up. But see, I'm not the one who's in control of that. And why and how and which ones do and which ones don't, that's not for me. That really, I don't even need to worry about. I don't need to understand. What I need to do is sow, and if there is a harvest, then when it is ready, I need to be ready to reap. Right? We talked about the gospel, guys, and what we've sowed. And I asked specifically to different individuals, you know, how long did it take? What was your experience? You know, how long did it take before you all of a sudden came? Jim, how many visits did you have before you actually finally came?
A lot.
How many years? About a year and a half. About a year and a half. Going, sharing, inviting. A lot of times was met with great resistance, right? I mean, just a flat, blatant no, it ain't gonna happen. Yeah. Now we had the end, which was Montana and Lisa and their relationship with Jim, and so because of that, like Jim couldn't escape. Yeah, no, seriously, thank God, yes. But guys, you know, a year and a half. You know, we've had others and guys, I do pray for the gentleman. It's been now a week since he has made it. But he came on a Tuesday night. And he just knew that he needed to find out who God was. Basically, my understanding. And so he started praying about it, and he had a flyer that had been dropped off to him, what was it, 2016?
Yes.
I believe it was a 2016 flyer that he found in there. And then all of a sudden he looks, and there's Pleasant View Church, and here's the times in Tuesday night's class, and it was a Tuesday, and he's like, you know what, I'm going. And so he shows up. Guys, we never know what's going to happen exactly with that seed and when and where it's going to sprout. There's a lot of guys, and I really worry about, for a lot of the young adults into young children, in that the seed that's been sown and sown and sown, and I want it to take root. I want it to be I want it to be life in their heart, but I can't make that happen. I can sow it. Yeah, I can do everything I can to nurture it, and to water and feed it, and do all those kind of things. But at the end of the day, there's some challenges, there's some Jordans that they've got to cross, and decide that God is going to be their God, and that the gospel is the most important thing, the most valuable thing that is in this world. No matter what anybody else does, says, or whatever else, it's not going to change the reality of God is, and that Christ saves, and that they're going to do about that. Yeah? Just the same as what's have to happen for all of us. Now, guys, with that, we went over some practical, right? Don't do it. If we're going to go share the gospel with somebody, guys, and we're going to sow that seed, there is some real practical things. We got to be mindful of the individuals that we're walking up to. Because honestly, I try to use this example like the bubble. Everybody knows about the bubble, right? The personal space bubble.
Yes.
And then, so I had Patricia that was sitting on the edge of the pew. And so I said, how does it make you feel if all of a sudden somebody walks up and says, "Hey, how you doing?" And it's like all over. Usually most people, the first response is going to be like, "Whoa." You can have the best news to tell them in the entire world, but if their first thought is, "Whoa, back off," how long do you think it's going to take them for that thought to get out? Yeah? And there's practical things, guys. Walking up and saying hello. And the difference in the response that you'll get from that person by showing respect, looking respectful, speaking with respect. Yeah? Respecting their space or whatever it is. Whatever. Yeah? Guys, in love for them, if we're wanting to reach them, then we have to consider them. Paul says, "I'll become all things to all men that I might see some say." Yeah? Guys, if he was going to walk before judges, he didn't talk like he was completely uneducated. Does that make sense? But if he was going to be talking to some that weren't educated, he didn't want them to think that he was just so educated that they wouldn't be able to have a conversation with him.
Right.
Prideful.
Hi.
So guys, again, being considerate of others. Last week we talked about bringing the gospel and being that light into the world. God has brought a great light into our hearts, and for us to be that light. And so we've been using the parables, guys, from Mark last 2 weeks. Last week was the parable there out of Mark chapter 4, verses 21 through 25 on being the lamp. He says, that lamp is not to be hidden. But then I went over an example with everybody. We are supposed to be that light, and we are, guys. We are the light. And God has saved us, and Christ is our Savior, amen? Amen. I mean, guys, we're rotten sinners, and He saved us from all of our sins.
Yeah.
Yes? And there's light in that, just in that, right there. And so literally last week what I did, for those of you who weren't here, was I shut off all the lights in here. And I left them off for a few minutes. That way everybody's eyes can start to adjust to the dark. And then I took the flashlight that I hid in my back, and I started shining it in different people's faces. And except for once I got to Lala, she knew what I was doing. So then she went. But everybody else, when that light first hit them, they went. Yeah? It's a natural reaction, is it not? If you're in the darkness and all of a sudden light gets turned on, the first reaction is, yes? And then we wonder why when all of a sudden we're bringing the gospel to somebody. And we're talking to all of a sudden we bring it to God. See, guys, God, to most people, is something that is feared. Yes? They don't know who He is. That's why that's called lost, by the way. They just don't know who He is, and they don't know where He's at with them. Yeah? They know that they're a sinner deep down in their heart. You guys, I don't care what religion they try to claim or anything else. Deep down in everybody's heart, they know that you're a sinner, you know that you're going to face God in judgment. And that's a fearful expectation that exists because of that. Yes? And guys, and even for us, anytime that we were on a road and then somebody brought us truth that was against whatever road we wanted to be on, how did we react? Yeah? So guys, when light shines on the darkness, what's going to take place? And yet sometimes that'll happen, Well, glory, hey man, and Jesus Christ died. And I'll be like, oh, my bad. Well, what do you expect to take place? Now, on the one week, I talked about not being overbearing and overwhelming to the point that you were basically scaring them off. But on the flip side, guys, in kindness and gentleness, if you keep the light, or maybe bring it kind of dimly on, and then gently bring on the light, it's a lot easier to all of a sudden see and to catch, and it's not quite as, you understand what I'm saying? So sometimes this is what we'll walk up to somebody and say, hey, listen, God loves me, God loves you, Jesus died for all your sins, and you need to believe that nobody's going to hell. And they're just like, ah! Everything that you said, was it a lie? No, everything you said was true. But, if you're bringing it like that, you just think about it in the context of light and darkness. Yeah? Sometimes we'll try to talk to them about everything. So, Carol, what was the thing that guy was asking about?
He said that meat wasn't meant for us to eat.
Oh, yeah. So Carol's going to try to share the gospel this whole way. Right? And so she's wanting to tell him, and here's what Christ has done, so forth and so on. And then he goes, yeah, but you eat meat. If you believe in God, you're not supposed to eat meat. Because in this one scripture, it said not to eat meat. Well, he didn't read on. And right after that, God said that you take, kill, and eat, and that he made all things clean. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, guys, I was taught on this in my Sunday school class. I believe it was out of Romans. And he says, you know what? If one person wants to eat vegetables, then let him eat his vegetables unto God. If one man wants to eat meat, let him eat his meat unto God. Me, I want to eat both unto God. All right? And if you're not eating my meat, that's fine with me. That means the word meat for me. All right? And honestly, I love the salads, man. I really, really am. And especially these ones that we're getting all these different mixins on it and everything like that. And the flavors are just so awesome. It's an experience just all in itself. And I've been enjoying that. Now, when I was younger, no. But now I'm enjoying, those different things. But it took some exposure to those things. Anyways, with this situation right here, all of a sudden he went into that, and Carol started trying to explain to him about meat. Yes? And so guess what the conversation never really went to? So really who God is, what God has really done for his son Jesus Christ, and that really the meat thing has nothing to do with it one way or the other. Why do people run that way? Okay? Really that's what they're running from God. It's really what it is. And so they're throwing out any different kinds of things, guys, and I had one know that, if you can prove to me where Cain got his wife, then I believe in God. What the heck are you talking about? And as if, and the guys, the reality is that some that even say those kind of things, I've had others that say, well, if God would show me some sort of sign, if God would show me a miracle, then I would believe. Okay? This is what they don't realize, guys, is that the miracle was right there in front of them.
Amen.
Because the gospel was right there in front of them. See, what they're looking at is they're looking at Roger, and so they're saying, well, there ain't no miracle, and trust me. Look at me, you're not going to see no miracle. But God saving me, that's a miracle. Him loving me, that's a miracle. I have done nothing to gain that love. But he just continued to. And so much that he overwhelmed my heart with so much of that life, that finally, guys, and as far as like the darkness side, there's things that we got off into, but you know what? Who is light? And he says, and if you come to the light, what he makes you is light. Yes? And what happens with the darkness when light gets shine on it? It's gone. It disappears. Yeah? Because it's really awesome because all of the darkness of whatever we have done, even what you've maybe done right here in this moment, then if the light of God is shining down on you, then all that darkness is gone before God. And it's just light. Isn't that beautiful? It's really, really awesome, guys. So this week, guys, the labor of love, I have on here part 4. Matthew chapter 13. So we're going to bring in yet another pair. If I can tonight, guys, I'm going to actually bring up 3 of them. All 3 are very, very, very short. Chapter 3, verse 31. It says, another parable he put forth to them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field, which indeed is the least of all seeds, and it's all the herb seeds. But when it is grown, it is greater than all the herbs, and comes up even as a tree, so that even the birds of the air can nest in its branches. Nope.
You said chapter 3, man, chapter 13. I know.
You have to search the scriptures yourself. 13, chapter 13, I'm sorry.
I lost my key.
Got it? Just one. Just take one. Go ahead, take them all. I'm going to pass them, hand them all to you. You pass them. Get one? Everybody got one? You got a packet? That's over here. All right. So did everybody at least get one? Yeah? So, the kingdom of God is like. Hard just to get one, man. There's so
Yeah,
many.
it is.
The kingdom of God is like a mustard seed. You probably can't even tell that I have anything between my fingers. I know you said. And yet I have a mustard seed right there. One little tiny mustard seed. Everybody's got one, right? So everybody can see it. Everybody knows what it's like. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted it. It's small, it's tiny. But when God gives growth to it, it becomes bigger than all the herbs. So much that even the birds can find a place to nest, to rest, to be protected from the weather, the storms, everything that's going on around it. The size of the mustard seed. I have a question for you. How real is God to you? How often is God granted? Not as much as, did you say? Not as much as it should be? Well, Jesus says this. If you have faith, that's the size of a mustard seed. So you might want to look at that mustard seed right there. How much faith do you have? How real is God? How big is that mustard seed? If you have faith in God, faith in Jesus Christ and what He has done, just the size of that little mustard seed right there, and if you take that faith and you sow it, what can it sprout into? What can it grow into? There's that little, so how much, what we're going to talk about, guys, is about bringing the gospel to others. See, someone came along and planted that seed in your heart. Now, you may not think that that seed has grown very much since the time it was planted in your heart. And maybe it hasn't. Maybe it really has not. You have faith, the size of the mustard seed. You can move mountains. You can tell a mountain to stand up and to walk and plant itself in the sea, and it would move to the sea. If you told a tree to get up out of the ground and move to the other side of the road and replant itself, it would, if you just had the faith of a mustard seed. Now, some, in the carnality of it, will want to run outside. But I believe in God, so tree move or mountain move. I don't think that's what he's talking about. I think he's talking about how you were as stubborn as an old tree that was rooted into the nastiness of this world. That's all you ever grew up from. That's all that life was ever about. And then all of a sudden, God brought by someone with a little bit of light. And they planted a little tiny seed and they told you to come and call on the name of the Lord, Jesus Christ, and thou shalt be saved. And all of a sudden, your tree, roots and all, got up and moved to the other side. What do you think? You might want to consider, when you start thinking about yourself and saying, oh, well, I don't have very much faith. I want to consider how much faith you need to be able to stand on the reality of the Lord. You might want to say, well, I need more to be able to. I need more faith. If I'm going to stand in the Lord, then I need more faith. If I'm going to bring the gospel, then I need more faith. You might want to consider the size of that seed that is in your hand. So instead of maybe looking at you, maybe you should consider, if God could take this little tiny seed and make it grow into something so grand and beautiful and wonderful. And by the way, it provides not only seeds, which also can provide flavor, mustard flavor, but there's also the mustard green that provide food. Again, it can provide a place of shelter. Yes? Safety. A place that you can call home. And not just you, but if you spread that seed, not just you can live there, but many birds. Many can find refuge. Just with the side and mustard seed. But
Yeah, that mountain of sin into the sea of forgetfulness.
yes. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took, and he sowed in the field. What's the field?
Lost heart.
Hearts.
It's really the world, guys. It's really the world. Okay, I'm sorry. Probably shouldn't be still on that mention. Very broad. Coming off of the other parables, the wheat and the tares, the soils, every one of those, the field is of this world. Yes? See, when you're sowing seed, you're throwing it. How many of you guys have ever seeded like a lawn?
Has ever what?
Seeded a lawn?
Oh, yeah.
So like for me, like there's like two different ways that I had to do this in my life. One was I was the spreader. So literally, reach your hand into a bag of seed, and then I kind of cock my finger a certain way, and let the seed kind of run out towards that finger, and I could go like that, and the seed would go flying. And you know what's funny is because we were poor. So you try not to get the seed off onto the sidewalks. You try to keep it in the dirt because that's where you want it to grow. And you have a lot of money to be able just to throw it wherever you wanted to. So you thought, but even when you tried to not, it still flew all over the place. By the way, my kids helped me sow the seeds this last year. And we got basil and flowers growing out from the rocks out in the middle of the yard from where they weren't supposed to sow the seed. And honestly, according to those plants, they're not even supposed to be able to grow in such a harsh environment. And yet, stop looking at yourselves and consider God. If you can take that little tiny seed and do something so massive, then what can you do with all of us? Yes? And guys, there's a lot of different teachings that can go into this. Another thing that sometimes we'll do is we'll look at sheer numbers. I love this, you guys, those Truth Night classes. Look around tonight, we're not as thick as what we usually are on Monday night. Pretty thin. Wow. Again, there might be more that show up. I already heard about 4 or 5 that were trying to get rides, they didn't have rides, had to work later, whatever happened. But nonetheless, here we are. What can God do? If He can take that one seed and make a tree big enough, then what can God do? In the story of David, it was actually at the point of Jonathan's life, which was the best friend of David. There was a bunch of Philistines who had come to attack and were on the hillside. And they had already pushed back what was supposed to be the army of God. Now at that point, they were under Saul's command and they weren't believing all too much. And David goes out and has a big victory, and then Jonathan's standing there, and Jonathan looks out over there at that hillside. He says, you know what? Maybe God will just find in his heart to give us a victory. He said, who's with me? And his arm bearer, who was usually a kid, said, I'm with you. John says, all right, 500 Philistines on the hillside. Jonathan and his arm bearer, 2. They ended up going to the other side. They were sneaky. They got down into the little hollows, and they popped up by certain bushes. And he would tell his arm bearer, hey, you stand up right there. He'd stand up. A couple of Philistines would go running down there. Jonathan would walk out, whack them. They fall to the ground, and the arm bearer would jump out and kill them. And they kept on doing that, and they killed approximately somewhere between 20 and 40 men. And it became so much that the Philistines were not sure what was happening, and it became so scared that they all took off running and left all their goods. With 2. 1 about. We're fighting a spiritual warfare, guys, and sometimes, we might want to look and we might want to try to weigh and measure and judge and so forth and so on. Maybe we just need to stop and realize how big our God is. If He can take that little tiny seed and He can do that much with it, what can He do with your faith? As long as you sow it. Now, if it's not sown, what in the thing there with the light was is that if it is not used, then what happens with it? You lose it. But if you use it, He gives more to you. Yes? So some, you pick on Carol, like she said, not as much as I normally, or I should, right? Not as much as I should. Well, maybe use what you got, and God will add more to you. You want more? Use what you got. There you go. God says He'll make it grow. You want your reality in God to grow? Use the reality that you have. Well, I don't have enough. What are you talking about? How big is that seed? So if you put that in retrospect of God's words, if you mumbled something about Jesus, try to write the word Jesus down. If you have a piece of paper, try to write the word Jesus down. Everybody do it? That has a piece of paper? Now take your seed and set it on that word. And then tell me which one's bigger. That seed or that word? So if you tell me that even if you just mumbled something about Jesus, that'd be bigger than that one seed right there, that can actually provide safety and a home, life, from many others. Hello? So what do you doubt? Why doubt? Yeah, the two sermons, guys, of him out there on the water. One, he's in the boat. The other one, he steps in the boat. Both times. So then why are you doubting? And he says the comment, why do you have such little faith? Yes? Now, we always look at that as such a derogatory thing. And don't get me wrong, guys, many people believe so much about the Lord that never even got to see the things that those apostles and disciples up to that full moment had gotten to see. So there's a sense to Jesus' question, it's kind of like, wow, really? But I'm not too sure if we were there, if we would have gotten it either. Yeah? And what's amazing is he gives them credit that they have a little bit of faith. And he took that little bit of faith that was in them, and what did they become? Were they not the lighthouse into the known world at that time? Yeah? And that was, by the way, how many? It was actually 11 at that point because of Judas. Yes? Paul ends up becoming later on. Right? Well, there was another one too that cast lots of that. It's a whole other class. So 13, if you want to do it at the most, will be apostles. Look around you. And tonight we're thin. We really are thin tonight. But look around. If God could be the light, if God could use those 13 that so many of their times seemed so faithless to bring the gospel and become a lighthouse in this world, then what could God do with all of us? Now, what if some of these young ones, all of a sudden, that seed started growing in them? How powerful could that be?
Amen.
Amen? The faith of a mustard seed. So you guys, God is so big and so awesome. He can take this smallest thing and make it bigger than anything this world's ever seen. So the reality of this, guys, is that my point really with all of this, guys, don't retreat into yourself, but see how big God is. Get over it. If you've been saved and if you believe, then be done with that part.
Amen.
I don't care if you got a little bit of faith or if you got a bunch. Yeah, if you have some, praise God and use it. Yes? Huh?
Don't doubt
You don't doubt it. And you can say, I only got a little bit. Or you can say, I only got a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah? And guys, by the way, other parables that are in here are that of like a pearl. Have you ever found a pearl? You have found a pearl. How big was that pearl? It was little. How excited were you to find that little thing? Yeah? You want to put it on a ring. Oh my gosh, I wanted everyone to see that little tiny pearl. See, guys, I don't think it mattered how big the pearl was. I think it mattered whether or not the old boy found it in that parable. When he found a pearl. Yes? You know, guys, have you ever, I don't know, I spend a lot of time outdoors. Have you ever come across like gold or silver or anything like that? And when I was really young, we'd go quail hunting all the time. And in the area, one of the areas that we would go to, literally used to, back in the 1800s, there was silver mines all over. And so a lot of times when I was out there running around, I'd come across silver. And you know what? It didn't matter if it was a big piece or a little piece. And it didn't matter. I mean, 500 quail, I'd stop. Hold on. Let me get this one little tiny piece. Put it in my pocket. I get back, my dad's like, man, you were shooting a lot. How did you have so many shells in your pocket? They ain't shells. I usually get my Louis birds too. But I have a pocket full of rocks. And then I love finding the ones I thought was gold, and then, you know, they would show me that it's supposed to be gold. It's not real gold. But I was still so excited.
Yeah.
You guys know my point is this, guys. You know, the preciousness of the faith that we have and sit going, oh my gosh, it's so, and thank God I have this. Let me use what I've got. Help me to use what I've got. Amen? The next piece. Still chapter 13, verse 47. So now the kingdom of God is also like a dragnet. So as far as what you guys were asking about this right now. Older. According to them it was. That was cast into the sea and gathered some of every kind. Which when it was full, they drew to shore, and they sat down, and they gathered the good of the vessels, and they threw the bad away. So it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come forth, separate the wicked from amongst the just, and cast them into the furnace of fire. And there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. The dragon. Here's what faith you have. What it is like a dragon that is cast into the sea. Now the reason why I wanted to draw this right here was, without the folder.
No, that's a black pearl.
There you go. There you go. The reason why I wanted to draw this was because I don't know if you know what a dragnet is and what a dragnet really does and what it really looks like. So literally, it is just a big gigantic net that is tossed off of the back of the boat. And they call it a dragnet for a reason. It was literally drugged across the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
And what they try to find is they try to find ravines that they know that the fish go swim through quite often. And they will drop the dragnet down. They cannot see what it is. They don't know what's down there. They just keep on moving. They don't know what it's catching, but as the line is tightened and begin to pull together, they know whether or not it's full. Once it becomes full, then they bring the whole dragnet up. In today's society, there's a whole lot of issues with dragnetting because of the overfishing that is done. And because they do not know what they are catching, you catch every kind of fish in there, good and bad. I don't know why we're just now figuring this out. Jesus Christ kind of said it a long, long time ago. Sorry. Anyways, for us, the kingdom of heaven is like a dragnet. Us, that's the gospel. You could look at it as though it is us ourselves, each other. And that we're cast out into the sea. Here, what would the sea be? This world. Yes? And we're drugged through, holding on to Jesus. Yeah? And as we come along, I want to do another analogy here. Anthony, jump over here. Do it. So it'd be like a net that is bound together, and then it's just being drugged through this world. And guess what's going to happen? If it comes across anything, it's going to start catching. Yeah? And it doesn't matter where it's drugged to. If it's drugged over and around, it's still going to end up running in and catching. Yes? I'm going to make you feel so uncomfortable. Sometimes as we get drugged through, things like that happen. I'm serious. Sometimes it doesn't feel comfortable. Yes? From what? That came from this just now? What? Man, and that was just like, bro. Switchblade? You ready to switchblade? Okay, guys. Sometimes we do get hurt as we're being drugged through. Sometimes our emotions, sometimes our physical bodies, sometimes there's all kinds of different things, but it doesn't stop what we're doing. Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. That's what I am saying. Now, I didn't mean for them to actually physically get hurt like that. But sometimes, guys, we get drugged in, or over or around, And it may not always feel good or whatever else to us, but what are we there for? We're there for others. Yeah? And sometimes there's good ones that get caught, and sometimes there's bad ones that get caught. And you know what? We don't need to worry about what gets caught. We just got to worry about catching. We just want to catch. Yeah? Guys, you know, I got through a lot of fishing in the ocean. I caught some really, really weird stuff out of that ocean. I'm serious. I've caught sea snakes before. And I've caught, like, in the woods, by the way. I've caught all kinds of weird, weird things. I caught this one thing that was like excreting something. And I'm like, man, what the heck is that? I'm like, man, I need to get that off my hook. And immediately they ran over and they're like, do not touch that. They're like, if you touch it, your whole hand will become paralyzed. That's its defense was pumping out whatever this stuff was. Okay, it was a very, very pretty fish as far as the colors on it. It's beautiful. But it would secrete this stuff.
Sounds like the Garden of Eden.
Yeah? Then, in that same place, I cast down. I caught a 40-pound grouper. That is excellent to eat. And a beautiful fish and strong and everything else. Sometimes. But you know what? If you weren't still fishing, guess what? We're going to catch nothing. And sometimes you got to lie a little bit while you're catching that kind of stuff, by the way. Jennifer's like, what is that thing? I'm like, oh, it's nothing. Don't worry. The sea snake, like, I got it. Don't worry. Take it out there from Anthony's probably doing that for all of us right now. He's like, oh no, everything's good. Awesome blood. Guys, the truth of the matter is, guys, what we've been sent to do, or what we're here to do now, and what we're sent out to do, guys, is just be that dragnet. Because the sea that we're on is that sea of despair. It's the sea of the tragedy, the lostness of man. It's the hopelessness. It's the sea of sin. And Satan is always busy trying to drag everybody down. And this is something when I was reading this, and this came across me in my notes, Satan always trying to drag us down, right?
Yes.
Jesus is out there walking on the water. They're scared. They think death is coming. They've been paddling, they've been working, they've been going in every different direction, they've been working so hard to try to save themselves, get themselves to the other side, and they can't go nowhere, and everywhere they try to paddle, the wind was just always against them, and then all of a sudden here comes Jesus just walking. It says, you know, one of the scriptures, it says, as if he was going to walk right past them. It says, and they seen him, and they supposed that he was a ghost, and they became fearful. And all of a sudden Jesus cried out to him, he says, man, be of good cheer, be happy. It's me. And Peter cries out, man, Lord, if it's really you, then just tell me to come to you, and I can just walk right up there to you. Jesus said, well, then come. Now, I remember a bunch of you guys that say, man, you know, Lord, man, if you just really save me, just tell me. And you heard it from the pulpit, just come. And you stepped out, and you came. Now, the reality is that every single one of us, some more than others, some more often than others, but all of a sudden we start to see the things of this world.
Yes.
And we end up going down. And what that is Satan. He's blowing the winds and the troubles and the problems and the cares and the this and the that in this world, and all that is beating and it's beating and it's beating until all of a sudden we take our eyes off of Jesus, and in the moment that we do, we start sinking.
Yes.
He's always busy dragging down. You know what's a beautiful thing, though, about a dragnet? It fishes from the shallows to the depths. Wherever it's drugged, it catches. So although Satan's always trying to drag down, guess what God's always busy saving from? Down. Yes? Isn't that awesome? Like, I don't know. Okay, never mind. I thought that was like awesome. I was like, wow, you know, man, Satan's always busy trying to drag us down into the darkness. And yet Christ And this gospel is always coming through all of that, bringing us up, lifting us up and out. And to me, that's just unbelievable. Now, guys, in that last day, we need to understand that that judgment is real and it is coming. And we need as many to be found in that net and good in that net. And what's good? God is good. So if they're together and they're found to be good, then what are they? They're God's. God is good. They're God's. If they're found good, then they have to be in God. Because God's the only thing that's good. Yeah? And there's one way to get in God, and that's through His Son, Jesus Christ. Who saved us, right? That's what we established in the first part, right? Whether a little bit or a big bit or whatever the size is, He did it. Yes? All right. Last one. Next verses. So Jesus then turned to them and He said to them this. Do you understand all of these things?
Well, if I didn't, there'd be no spiritual victory. I'll tell you that. Oh, excuse me.
That's all right. So no, I'm asking you right now, and you answer it yourself. Do you understand these things? I hope so. We've been on it for about 5 weeks now. Man, guys, God loved us and did everything. He labored to hell and back to save us. Literally. And our labor was to call upon His name and to spread what He's done for us.
Amen.
Now, I mean, the simple question, what did He do for you? Okay? Be a little bit more specific. I was going to say keep it real simple, but that was almost too broad. He said everything. What did Jesus do for you? Okay? Gave us life. Lived a perfect life for you.
He took my place.
He died on the cross. He saved what?
He saved us.
He saved us. Somebody else over here was saying something.
He brought me in Pleasant View.
He brought me to Pleasant View. He took my sins to Him. Do you guys realize these little statements that you're making are so small? They're not even full sentences. Most of them. But the power that exists in every single one of those statements, and if it's planted into the heart of somebody, what it could mean in their salvation. Do you realize what that can sprout to? And you say, oh, well, I don't have anything to share. You just shared a bunch of different things with me just now. What if it was just that was shared with somebody else? Sometimes we think we need to share with them the whole book. That ain't what's that. By the way, Jesus Christ doesn't even say to do that. He says that you preach the gospel of Jesus Christ, and then those who believe you baptize, and then you teach them. And then you teach them. See, we try to throw out the whole entire Bible, when really what they need is Jesus. Once they have Jesus, then the Bible actually starts to make a little bit of sense.
Amen.
Until then, guys, it's just an overwhelming stumbling block, beating block.
Don't do like the flashlight.
Well, honestly, what it reminds me of is that one little boy and Jerry walking out there, and the old boy was causing a heck of a lot of evil, nasty trouble, and trying to be vice within the church. And Jerry walked out there with his Bible and whacked him on the top of the head. Literally. Knocked the old boy out. And then he held up the Bible in the air. He said, "Slay by the word of God!" I've been wishing that I had that here a few times here recently. God does all things in His hand. No, guys, the Bible really isn't for that purpose, to beat people with it. At the same time, guys, when we throw it at them like that, we try, and really in our heart, guys, we're just excited maybe about something. And so we want to just talk about all these things that we're excited about, and we lay this out on the premise of Jesus. And that's what they need. They need that seed of faith sown to them. Once they receive that, then the teaching can really start to happen and start to take place. Now, I'm not trying to discourage anything, but at the same time, like that conversation that Carol was having there, so she could sit there all day long and she could have gone over every single scripture where it talked about eating or not eating. You know what it would have done for that little boy's heart? Nothing. Because that was all within him, a satanic work to keep him off of the truth. And all he would have done is educate, what Jerry used to say is educate the devil.
Yes.
That's what you would have done. So you would have just had more knowledge of more words, and there would have been no experience of the person Jesus Christ to save him from all of his sins. And you notice the funny thing was, is he was trying to say that she couldn't be saved because she was eating meat, because he was saying that that's a sin. And meanwhile, what we were trying to bring was this, our Savior from our sins. And so I told her what she should have said. She should have said, you're right. You shouldn't be eating no meat. And it's a good thing that you're not eating any meat. And you know what, though? Man, there's other ways and other places that you have sinned. There's tons of places that I've sinned. And the one thing I want you to know is that I've found Savior from all of my sins. And that's what I want to talk to you about. And you're right, I probably shouldn't be eating meat. You know, guys, I mean, there is a real reality to it. I eat way more than I should. And then Lala did not try to help me tonight at all. He was trying to cut me off at the loin. That's what it felt like. It wasn't quite that extreme, but I was just like, oh, man, what are you doing? And there's a side to it, you know what? That maybe there should be more, what's the word? We don't maybe indulge quite as much. Huh?
I was gonna say like
Discipline.
be more reserved.
Yeah, no, I was trying to find the word because Jerry taught a sermon on that too. And since I've been on the Jerry theme already, here's about 4 or 5 lines. I was going to throw that one in there too. Yeah, no, but what's the word when you keep from it? Moderation. We probably should eat with more moderation. Okay? And so you could agree with them though. You could say, you're right. You are right. Like it really, we probably should. But man, you know what? You've sinned and I've sinned, and here's the Savior, right? The thing with Jerry was on moderation. He got up one time and preached on a Sunday. He went through this whole entire thing on moderation and everything else. And he said, man, I thank God that I practice moderation. Guys, by the way, Jerry was 6'8", and at the last time that we took him down to have him weighed, we literally had to go down to a cattle lot, and he had to get up on a cattle scale in order for it to read him. The hospital, as well as his doctor's office, did not have a scale that could read his weight. And he was over 450 pounds.
Yeah.
Big guy. And so if you can imagine, 2 of Jim's standing up there on the stage, and he's turning and he says, and thank God I've always practiced moderation, because you imagine how big I would be. He did drive a point across. Good point. Guys, over these weeks we've talked about how to deal with these situations and bringing the gospel and dealing really with people. Have you understood these things that we've been talking about? That's the question that's presented right now. Do you understand? Because guys, I've been using just a whole bunch of earthly stories that have very big heavenly meanings. And the question to you is do you understand? What they responded to him was, they said, yes, we understand. And they said, yes, Lord. He says, therefore, every scribe, everyone that's called, that the word of God has been written in their hearts, and they're called to bring the words of God and to write it in the hearts of others. He says, for every scribe instructed concerning the kingdom of heaven is like a householder who brings out his treasures, the things new and old. And any inkling of where I'm going with this? Do you understand all these things? How much, okay, so I've heard comments back from some of you. How much do you feel like if some of these things are new? How much are some of these things old? Why did everybody just want to get silent all of a sudden when they're asking questions? There was laughter over Jerry, over all those things, and then all of a sudden I started asking a question, and everybody got really serious, and everybody was like, do you understand all these things? The reality is that, there might be things that you are catching, and there might be things that you miss. All right? And the person sitting next to you probably caught certain things, and they probably missed certain things too. The fact of the matter is that the words of God have been written into your heart even tonight. The reality is, guys, that all of us have sinned, all of us come short of the glory of God. God saved us through His Son, Jesus Christ. Yes? He's our only way of righteousness, guys. He's the only one that was ever perfect, and He's the one who represented us before God and got up there on that cross and took each one of our sins, each one of your sins. The ones that you know, the ones that you don't know. He's the one who took all of them. He's the one who went to hell, and He's the one who paid for them before. Now, guys, really, this story that I'm telling you is really, really old. You want to know how old it was? Before there was time. God already seen His Son crucified for all of our sins. The story is old. Before creation. This story is old. But then at the same time, guys, for me, it's new every single day. And there's new experiences that I have with Him and with His words and with these classes. And it doesn't matter if it's Brother Jason, if it's Brother Berg's class, Will's class, my class, who else am I missing? Butch's, Tracy, Jim. I can go on down the list. Conversations that we have. Guys, 2 of them that I've had with Chris over the last, week and a half. Not quite a week and a half. Like this Sunday before, and then even tonight, touched my heart. Brought certain things that were old back to memory, and also brought new things to life. And what it's like someone who owns a house. And they have people that are coming over. And what they do is they go and they gather up their treasures. Both they do, and they hold treasures. And they set it out. Why does a person do that? Oh my gosh, you guys are no fun tonight at all. Huh? To impress?
Show off.
To show off? Don't look at it as a negative thing. Because the value that they see in them. See, the things to them that might be treasures may not be a treasure to the person, to somebody else. But to them it is. Right? Somebody was waving around back in the back. Jason?
Yeah, it was all just on that, and then the value in it, to be able to, you would do that to share that with you, want them to experience the value you have in it.
Yes. Becky?
That's what I was gonna say, it's the value, how you value them, and you want them to have what you consider valuable, you want to share it with them.
You want them to get to have an experience with you, right? Because you've had a wonderful experience with them. Yeah, maybe it brings certain things. So guys, I'll give you an example. I have a license plate that's hanging up in my garage. All right? You know where that license plate is from? Missouri. I remember seeing that license plate on a pickup truck when I was probably about Makai's age. That license plate had been kept throughout all that time and had moved from Missouri all the way to Arizona. And when my grandmother finally did pass, I kept that. I kept a little tiny dog, a little plastic dog. I think one other item. So the plastic dog, guess where it sits? Okay, it sits in the front door. Right at my front door. You walk up to my house, you walk up to the front door, there's a little tiny plastic dog sitting. To me, that was a treasure. Now, a lot of people just walk up and see an old plastic dog that's breaking. To me, that's a treasure. What it reminds me of is a person that I love and that is very, very faithful to the Lord, and that always encouraged me, always was there for me no matter where I was at. Always encouraged me to keep the faith no matter what I was trying to keep. Always encouraged me to continue to do the work of the Lord no matter what else work I was trying to do. So for me, it's inspiration. It's very, very important. My grandpa was a very, very hard man. He was an ex-Marine. Very, very hard man. And I'd get up in the mornings with him sometimes before the break of day and run out there and jump in his pickup truck as we'd go down and we'd check the fence lines where all the cattle were at, and we'd feed the cattle. And every once in a while, he'd let me jump back there in the back by that old license plate and break apart a bale of hay. And piece by piece, every so often, he would pull her out, and I would drop a piece off that as the cows would all come together up. And then in doing that, we could count all the cows and make sure that every single one of them was in each lot where they were supposed to be. They were getting fed something that was better for them and all. And it was this big gigantic circle. And when I was a kid, I didn't know what the heck was going on. But that license plate takes me back to that. And takes me back to another moment with my grandfather. Trying to get my emotions in check. Of when he was laying literally on his deathbed. And me and my father had went up there to him. And they had seen him. And my dad had made the comment, I'll see you tomorrow. He sat up and he said, listen, son, do not make promises that you can't keep. He said, but this I do know, is that all this time and all these different things that I always lived and I chased, it really didn't matter, did it? The only thing that ever mattered was Jesus Christ. That night he passed away. For all of the strength and all the things and all the different, it's an inspiration for me. It's just a treasure. I mean, it's old. Don't want to call that pretty. It's got a rust to it. But to me, it's valuable. And people sometimes come over and ask me. My kids have asked me. I used to have it over at my old other house out by my shed. People would ask me, and I'd get to tell them what it meant to me and get to tell them what my grandfather confessed about the Lord Jesus Christ. That little tiny bit of faith gets a good song because of the treasure. Now, guys, I'm talking about physical things that remind me of some things spiritual. And sometimes it's just the words of God. It's the words of God that come back into my memory all of a sudden. Sometimes it's old and sometimes it's new. Sometimes it's things I'm experiencing right now. Sometimes it's things that I've experienced years and years and years before. And it needs to be brought out, though, at times and laid on the table for everybody to get to experience. How that happens, guys, is from us sharing with one another. So in the first part of tonight's class, guys, I really tried to show on one hand just really where we're at with the Lord and being confident in whatever size of faith that we have. The second part is this, guys, man, we're just to bring it to this lost world, yes, bring it, be that dragnet. Let God sort it all out. We just need to be sowing it, bringing it, fishing with it, however, whichever one of the analogies that you want to use. We've used a lot of these last few years. And guys, in this last part right here, guys, it kind of comes back in full circle, back to within the body, back with each other, and with those new ones that are going to be added to us. Because the things that are old that we experience and the things that are new, we need to bring to the table for them. You know, it's not to be haughty in those things, but it is to show off the value of what we've been able to have. The value of what we're getting to experience right now, and what we already have experienced concerning our Lord. Yes? The things that He's written into our hearts and our minds to bring it out and show it off. Yes? You know, guys, I just love it. There you go. We need to bring these things to the table for them to be admired. I brought to you guys a bunch of old stories tonight, a bunch of new stories tonight, and tried to bring some new light on some old stories. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you have an experience it. Maybe it brought back old things, and hopefully it brought some new things as well. Yeah? And guys, you know, again, Anthony will have a scar to always look back on and remember this night. He was the dead drag. He got something. Oh, hopefully not an infection of some sort, to make sure it was not alcohol on there or something. All right, guys, listen, I love each and every one of you guys. Man, let's go home, let's get some great rest. Yes? I pray that all of these different things that we've been going over, guys, these classes and these sermons, guys, that it would, just really, I don't know, cultivate it. And it would start to grow. Because what God can do with a little tiny bit is amazing. So if we even just gain a little bit, it's amazing what God can do. Yeah? Guys, love Him for the little bit, love Him for the big bits. Love Him for all the bits in between. Yeah? Love one another. Bring His truth. What's that?
As He loves us.
Yes, He loves us, yes. You consider that. How big does He love you? So when you start talking about loving somebody else, as He's loved you, and by the way, He didn't stop you even though you were hungry.
Yes. Thank God.
About a woman. He still kept on loving you. I'm sorry, that goes, it's like an inside thing now.
I know. You explain to me, I know.
I know, but nobody else does, that's what I'm saying, it's between me and you. No, guys, I do love you all. I hope that everybody has a wonderful, wonderful night. Hope tonight's class has been a blessing to your heart. Yeah?
Yes.
3 different parables, 3 very, very, very different parables, but all of them dealing, I think, with a whole lot of where we're at right now, and where we need our focus to be, and where God's bringing us to the future. So I just pray, guys, I thank you guys, a lot of you guys have bragged over this time on me, and I thank you guys. It's easy, I guess, in that sense, to get bragged on, which brings God. Thank God for how He's used it. He used me in bringing it. And if it's been a profit, then praise God. Whether a little bit of profit or a whole lot, that's all He's in.
Yes.
I'm thankful to be used. But guys, don't think that you can't be. I know a lot of you guys think that, that I'm just this natural public speaker. It ain't that way. I love you all, but it ain't that way. I didn't. Growing up, and guys, and still yet to this day, I still get nervous every single time. I get do a little bit better on Sunday mornings, honestly, because my nerves, by the time I get up in the pulpit, have somewhat calmed down because I've already been through an hour of Sunday school class. Come back in on third service, like usually I'm nauseous. Just to be honest with you guys, feeling all kinds of different emotions. Sometimes I'm very distraught and sad because certain things to certain ones just doesn't seem like it's really getting across. That I really just want to. But again, that's not for me. That's all in God's hand. What I got to do is just keep on bringing the word, and whatever it does is what it does.
Amen.
Now, guys, there's going to be a lot that's going to be coming to us. Because we don't want to just settle for just living.
Amen.
All right? And yet, kind of what I've been kind of on is say, listen, you know what? Whether it's a little or whatever it is, just be thankful. And keep that in mind, though. Because that's whatever you think of it, that's the expectation. But what God's going to use it for is something that's going to be really, really big.
Yes.
And we're not going to settle for anything less. We shouldn't want to, because our Lord loved us big.
Yeah.
Yeah? Amen? That means that there's going to be calling to more labor. That's what that means. Yes? That means that there's going to be calling also in order to be able to do the labor of the Lord. It means that some other things that have been labored towards might not be able to remain as a part of us. And sometimes that hurts when those things get cut off. Yeah? But sometimes if that is what it takes, then is it worth it? Now you're the one who has to be the judge of that, I can't. But see, when the people walked through the Jordan, they looked all the other side, they said it wasn't worth it. It says it would have been better if we would have just turned back and just died. God gave them what they asked for. He turned them around, took them out there, and they died. And the next ones were warned to not follow that same example, but to learn from it and to stand on God's words and believe. Now, guys, we have that story now for a reason. It's for us to not turn back now.
Amen.
Yeah, that generation only done did. We don't need to. Yeah, keep on marching forward. Whatever that labor means, and so be it. It's worth it. He's worth it. Little, big, whatever you got, use it. And if you think you need bigger, you think you need more, then use even more. Because God will give you. Be careful, because if you do not use what God's given you, He will take it away. Literally, if there are things that touched you tonight, and you don't talk about them tonight, tomorrow, I guarantee you, you will lose it. Some people get upset with me because I'll ask, I'll say, listen, you know what? What did we talk about last week? They're like, ah. Well, a lot of times the reason why we can't remember is because we weren't talking about it.
Amen.
If we were talking about it, we can remember. Yeah? If you watch a TV show that you like and you go talking about it, how often are you going to be able to talk about it to multiple people? Versus if you talk to nobody about it, then very, very shortly you forget that you even watched the episode. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Another earthly story with a spiritual meaning. It's a parable of TV shows. I love you all, guys, man. It's have a wonderful night. I would like to say go forth praying, but if we do this, then I really want us to do it. What that means is talking to God about the things that we've heard tonight and experienced tonight. Should we do that, or should we actually go with an actual prayer and go forth praying?
Yeah.
Yeah, do that? All right, let's do that.
Hey, Russ.
Yes.
I hardly ever ask for prayer for myself. I'm going through some pretty big tests coming up. So just kind of